Imagine being stuck in prison for more than 3 decades for murder, a life sentence that even a judge now says you would not be found guilty of today. That's the reality for Christopher Dunn, and the state of Missouri says he must stay behind bars. Now, he and his family fear he may never walk free. If you're confused by this, so are we. And that's exactly why, after learning of Mr. Dunn's story, we traveled to the prison where he is now serving out his life sentence to hear his story directly from him.
Here we go.
This is a free call from an offender at the South Central Correctional Center.
Hey, babe.
Hey there, babe.
Hey, Chris.
For 32 years, this has been Christopher Dunn's lifeline. A maximum of 15 minutes. That's all he's allowed for each call. But Dunn savors every precious second, a momentary distraction from his life sentence behind bars.
Missouri called themselves the Show Me State. They showed me nothing except that they refused to admit their wrongs. You can't have hope in the justice system. Hope died a long time ago.
Dunn was just 18 when he was arrested for a murder he is adamant he did not commit. Now, at 50 years old, after surviving 3 heart attacks and being stabbed by an inmate, he's not sure what will run out first, his patience or his time.
Are you concerned that you might die before being able to be vindicated?
To be honest with you, yeah. I fear that the truth of what happened to me may never be known.
In the early morning of May 19th, 1990, a 15-year-old boy named Rico Rogers was fatally shot on the front steps of a friend's house in St. Louis, not far from Dunn's family home.
Was there any point where you said, are you responsible for this shooting, or?
I know he wasn't because we all was at the house. Yeah. And I told the police that. And he said, well, family people lie for family people.
According to Dunn's mother, the family had sat down to watch the crime drama Hunter, and Chris was on the phone with his friend Nicole Bailey, who had just checked into a hospital to give birth.
Police come search the house, but it was kind of weird because how can he shoot someone if he's at home?
2 neighborhood kids, 14-year-old Demoris Stepp and 12-year-old Michael Davis, testified under oath that Chris was at the scene of the crime. The jury deliberated for less than 45 minutes, and at 19 years old, Dunn was sentenced to life in prison plus 90 years.
Reports suggest he didn't have a good public defender.
I thought she had Chris' best interests in heart, but she didn't do anything. I read the transcript after. I could have done better than that.
He had so many alibi witnesses that were never called to court.
In 1999, Kira Kaywood, a volunteer for a nonprofit magazine called Justice Denied, was assigned to write an article about Dunn's story. Over time, she was ultimately convinced of 2 things: that he was innocent and that she loved him.
I have no hope in the system, but I still believe in love, though. You find something that you like, you better grab hold to it. If not, it's gonna get away. It might be gone forever.
8 years ago, they got married in a tiny ceremony at the prison. As he awaits his happily ever after, which may never come, he clings to his first love, pencil and ash to paper.
Aww.
Bringing his family and friends all to life right beside him.
A lot of people say that they're innocent when they're really guilty.
Yes.
So what stood out to you about Chris that you believed him?
I reviewed the police interviews of the witnesses versus what they said in court. It didn't line up.
In 2012, Kira hired Dan Grothaus, a private investigator, to uncover what Dunn's Missouri State Public Defender never did: prove absolute innocence.
Michael Davis testified. We needed his testimony to be recanted, and he did, without any problem.
Did we see Dunn do it? No. No, nobody seen Dunn do it. Back in them days, them streets was dark. You ain't got no lights in the streets.
Is there anything in your mind that has changed with your statement or with your version of events?
Still the same thing. I didn't see nothing.
Armed with Davis's recantation, along with new witness testimony, Dunn's team was able to file for post-conviction relief to vacate his conviction in 2018, which they all thought would be an open and shut case.
One turned to the other one, and I heard it with my own ears. He said, "Should we call the institution, tell them to get his stuff ready to go?"
One of the guys came out and he told Mom that he believed Chris was innocent.
He said, "Mrs. Dunn, on behalf of the state of Missouri, I am so sorry for what's happened to your son." Remember that, Mama?
Was that day harder in some ways? Because you really thought justice was going to be done?
I had his clothes, and we had the car, and we were just ready to go have something to eat afterwards. And yeah, it felt so close. And when we all had to walk out of there without him, it was heartbreaking.
Mrs. Dunn, you've been really strong this whole time, and I'm curious what aspect made you break down just now?
It's just hard. I'm tired.
Judge William Hickel took 2 years to render his decision, in which he wrote, "Coupled with evidence in the record that petitioner had an alibi, this court does not believe that any jury would now convict Christopher Dunn under these facts." But despite that belief, Dunn cannot walk free because of a 2016 ruling in the Missouri state case Lincoln versus Cassidy, which limits releases for freestanding claims of actual innocence to capital punishment cases.
And you would have been better off had you been given a death sentence than the life plus 90 years.
Ronnie Lincoln's case is holding me from being free. The judge said I was innocent. Your circuit judge in Missouri said I was innocent. Kimberly Gardner, the circuit attorney for the city of St. Louis, says that I'm innocent. Why can't you free me?
Kevin Strickland, another man sentenced to life, spent 43 years in Missouri prisons for a wrongful conviction.
What does justice look like?
That's a tough one. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
He was only able to be released last year thanks to Senate Bill 53, a new law that gives prosecutors an avenue to free innocent prisoners. The bill was inspired by a man at the center of another wrongful conviction case in Missouri, Lamar Johnson.
Oh, I could talk about Lamar Johnson for months, weeks, days.
Lamar Johnson has spent 28 years in prison for a crime he also says he did not commit. The sole witness in the case has recanted his statement, and the actual killers have admitted to the crime. And yet he, too, remains locked away because of his life sentence.
I want to say that Mr. Lamar Johnson was the one that paved the way for everybody to create a mechanism. So I know that a lot of individuals want to know, are we taking our due diligence and time to pursue these cases, because this is the last line of defense for justice.
Dunn, Strickland, and Johnson make up what Chris has dubbed the Missouri Three.
You feel that if this had happened to you in another state, you wouldn't still be behind bars? You feel this is specific to Missouri?
I would like to think that I believe that if I was in Illinois, if I was in California, any other state, Kansas, yes.
Thanks to Senate Bill 53, St. Louis prosecutor Kimberly Gardner has the power to request Johnson's and Dunn's release, starting a process that ends with the Attorney General.
We have an Attorney General in this state that believes that finality, and regardless of whether someone is wrongfully convicted or not, should be held, even after there's evidence that they've been wrongfully convicted. The governor, right now, they could commute someone's sentence right now, right? But of course, that's up to the governor.
This election, freedom and liberty is on the ballot.
This past summer, we first reached out to Attorney General Eric Schmitt, who's currently running for Senate in Missouri, as well as Governor Mike Parson. Months later, both have not responded to multiple requests for comment. And now for Johnson and Dunn, their only option for freedom is Senate Bill 53.
Missouri stands alone, I think, in not giving an innocent prisoner the right to access to the courts when he has a compelling case of innocence.
Gardner has stated her intention to take on Dunn's case after Johnson's hearing in December.
You know, Mr. Lamar Johnson is going to be the city of St. Louis test. Do we have the will to correct wrongful convictions? And this will set the tone for other people who come after Mr. Lamar Johnson. So do we have the will in Missouri? I have hope that we do have the will.
Here, hope is in short supply. Dunn's old family home was destroyed in a fire. All that remains now is this dormant block.
All these houses that was full right here.
Dunn's existence now is desolate and empty as this vacant land. According to the Innocence Project, about 20,000 people in U.S. prisons are falsely convicted. In Missouri, even if a conviction is overturned, the state doesn't offer any compensation unless prisoners are able to prove their innocence through DNA testing.
It seems like an impossible battle sometimes, but we will never give up. I know I can speak for all of us. We will never give up trying to get Chris home.
So the justice system failed us. It failed Rico Rogers' family, and it also failed the people that he hurt.
Mom, I'm so curious. This is your only son. Been locked up for more than 30 years for a crime that you believe he did not do, that he says he did not do.
Right.
I'm just trying to get at how that feels to be robbed of that time.
It hurts. I mean, he missed a lot of stuff, and so did I. And so did his sisters, because they took him away. I don't know how much time I have. And I pray every night that they send him home.
His mom is now holding out hope that she'll live long enough to see her son come home again. But considering he's spent his entire adult life behind bars, Christopher Dunn fears he may never see his mother's prayers answered, and that notion was enough to trigger one lone tear.
Your mom broke down yesterday, said she's tired.
The United States cry and complain about every other country, about their humanitarian rights, about how China is treating their own citizens. I'm citizens of the United States, the state of Missouri. I was born here. You can't free me?
What would you do if you were to be freed?
I want to get on the first thing spoken about in Missouri. I don't want to look back. I want to walk up out this door, walk up that hill, and stand out there for everybody who couldn't walk out for themselves.
Our thanks to Chris Dunn and his family.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.